Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Christiane F, which is a film directed by Ulai Edel, and to me, this is honestly one of the most disturbing portrayals of drug addiction that I have ever seen in my life, as it was just so well acted and directed. And not just that, but this is a film that I totally recommend that you should go check out once in your life, as it is going to be an experience that you will never forget. But I will warn you that it can get pretty hard to watch at times. But still, this is an amazing film that deserves a lot more attention, especially nowadays. And I am just going to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I am going to break down the plot of this film. So, 13-year-old Christine resides in Berlin with her mother. She starts abusing dangerous substances after she falls in love with Detlev, which causes her to steal from her house, sell all of her assets, and descend into abysmal levels. If there was one thing that I really liked about this film, is the way and how it does such an amazing job at telling a story that is deeply compelling. And while it may look simple at times, this is a very well written and complex movie that will stay with you long after it's over. And to me, one of the most interesting things about this film is the fact that it is so much more than just a psychological drama, but a powerful study on drug addiction and how it can slowly destroy a person's life from the inside out. And not just that, but I thought some of the acting performances were really well done, especially from Nastia Bronkhorst as Christine. And to me, this is honestly her best performance, as she does such a great job at portraying her character as someone who you can actually care about. And when we first see her character in the opening scene of the film, it immediately starts off with Christine walking out of the apartment doorway and stares at a poster for Sound Discotheque. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of her deciding to hang out with one of her friends as they try to sneak into a nightclub. And this is where you start to realize that she is a young woman who feels completely trapped by her own life. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction into who she really is as a person. And not just that, but it perfectly sets up everything for the film that you are about to see. And I am not going to let it right now. Out of all of the films that I have seen in my life, no film shows a more realistic depiction of drug addiction better than this movie right here. And you can really see that from Christine's character arc throughout the film. One of the most interesting things about her as a character is the way in how she tries to do everything that she can in order to cope with the world around her. And while she knows that she is completely unable to escape from her own personal struggles with drug addiction. You can really see that she is trying to become a better person through her relationship with Dietlef. And not just that, but she is a perfect example of how drugs can slowly destroy another person's life from the inside out. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why she is such a well-written and deeply complex character. And you can really see that from Nastia Bronkhorst's powerful performance in this movie. And I am not going to let it right now. She deserves a lot of praise for her performance in this movie, as it was just that fucking good. And not just that, but she is a pretty realistic depiction of a 13-year-old girl who has had her whole life completely torn apart by her own addiction to drugs. And you really feel bad for her character in a way. And it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking powerful. As it remains so true, even by today's standards. And if there was one thing that I really liked about her performance in this movie, is the way in how she brought so much depth and humanity into the role. As it really goes to show you that she can do such an amazing job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that from this film right here. And overall, Christine is such a well-written and deeply complex character. And Nastia Bronkhorst honestly makes this film better than it already is. And I am not going to let it right now. This is definitely up there as being one of the most powerful performances in the history of cinema. And despite the fact that she was only 14 years old at the time, she gave an amazing performance as Christine. And not just that, but she perfectly fits what it was like at that time and who she really was as a person. Nastia Bronkhorst did such an amazing job at showing that through this film right here. And it's sad what happened to her, by the way. I thought Thomas Hustine did a pretty good job playing Dietlef, despite the fact that he wasn't in the film all that much. And to me, one of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way in how he tries to do everything that he can in order to cope with his own drug addiction, even if he knows that it will slowly destroy him from the inside out. But if there was one thing that I really liked about his performance, is the way in how he brought so much depth and humanity into the role, as it really makes Dietlef so much more than just a side character and a generic love interest, but someone who you can actually feel sympathy for. And not just that, but I thought the relationship between him and Christine was just so well done, as it's just honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is just so fucking powerful. And overall, this is honestly one of his best performances, as it really goes to show you that he can do such an amazing job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that from this film right here. And I am actually going to be honest right now. This was the first film that I have ever seen from him. And he gave an amazing performance in this film. And it wasn't just him and Nastia Brunkhorst that gave great performances. But I thought the supporting cast also did a pretty good job playing their characters, even if they weren't in the film all that much. And I am not going to let it right now. This is definitely up there as being one of the most powerful acting performances that you are ever going to get from a film like this. I thought Ulai Edel's direction of the film was just so well done, as it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the best directors in the history of cinema. And you can really see that from how he does such an amazing job at telling a deeply compelling story about drug addiction and how it destroys people from the inside out. And not just that, but it really goes to show you that he is just the absolute best, especially when it comes to telling stories that feel deeply compelling but realistic all at the same time. And Christiane F is a perfect fucking example of that. And I am not going to let it right now. We need more movies just like this, especially when we are living in an age of where every film that is coming out nowadays is nothing more but generic and soulless slop that nobody fucking asked for or needed. Also, do you want to know what's the biggest problem affecting Hollywood right now? Is the fact that they are hiring writers who don't give a shit about telling a good story or trying to entertain the audience, but more about pushing their own woke agenda on your fucking face. And do you want to know why we go to films in the first place? Is to just be entertained. It's just that fucking simple. And if Hollywood can't understand that, then just look at the fact that almost every film that is coming out nowadays is bombing at the box office. And even if there were some amazing films that came out this year, just look at Project Hail Mary, Obsession, Backrooms, and many more. It doesn't excuse the fact that there is no saving Hollywood. Because they did it to themselves, and you know what? They fucking deserve it. And I am not going to let it right now. Ulai Edel deserves a lot of praise for his direction of this film right here, as he made a haunting masterpiece that will stay with you long after you've first seen it, as it's just that fucking harrowing and realistic, and it doesn't hold back when it comes to showing how bad drugs are for people. The cinematography is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is just so fucking good. But if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is the way in how it does such an amazing job at making every scene feel gritty but emotionally powerful all at the same time. As it's all done to reflect the film's themes of drug addiction and the mental state from the main characters throughout the film. And you can really see that from the way in how it uses dark lighting and color, which was just so well done, as it makes scenes feel more realistic than they already are. And overall, this is honestly some of the best cinematography that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with the film's themes and its story. And it really goes to show you that Jürgen Jürgens is honestly one of the best cinematographers working today. And to me, this is his best work, as it really makes this film so much better than it already is. I thought the character of Bubsy was just so well written, and you can really see that from how she is portrayed as being a young woman who has had her whole life completely destroyed by her own drug addiction and emotional emptiness. And not just that, but if there was one thing that I really liked about the actress's performance, is the way in how she brought so much depth into the role, as it really makes Bubsy so much more than just a side character, but someone who you can actually care about. And I just want to say that the relationship between her and Christine was just so well done, as it feels so realistic and powerful in a way. And to me, it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why this film will be remembered as being an absolute masterpiece that will stay with you long after it's over. One of the most interesting things about this film is the way in how it does such an amazing job at showing how drug addiction can slowly destroy a person's life. And you can really see that from Christiane's character arc throughout the film, as she spends her whole life being surrounded and deeply consumed by drug addiction in Berlin. And while she knows that she will never return to a normal life, you can really see her desperation in order to do everything that she can in order to cope with her own environment. And what makes this even worse is that this whole film right here is based on a true story, as it makes this film's themes hit so much harder than ever before. And it doesn't hold back when it comes to showing how drug addiction can slowly destroy you from the inside out. Honestly, don't do drugs, because if you want to ruin your life, do it. Just look at what happens to these characters. They self-destroy themselves. This is definitely up there with Requiem for a Dream, Trainspotting, The Basketball Diaries, as being one of the most realistic depictions of drug addiction ever put on a film, but to me, this is the most realistic because it shows the effects and how self-destructive it really is. Go watch this fucking movie. It's a masterpiece that you will never forget. I thought David Bowie did a pretty good job playing his character, despite the fact that he was only in the film for a couple of minutes. But if there was one thing that I really liked about this film and his character, is the way and how it portrays him as being the only form of happiness and meaning in a world that has completely destroyed itself from the inside out. And not just that, but it is honestly one of the main reasons on why David Bowie is such a great actor, as he does such an amazing job at bringing so much depth into his characters. And you can really see that from this film right here and many of his other roles. And I totally recommend that you should go check out The Prestige, as that is one of the best movies of Christopher Nolan's entire career as a film director. I thought the heroin withdrawal scene is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. So the scene immediately starts off with Ditlev coming over to see what's going on with Christine. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of them trying to withdraw themselves from their heroin addiction. And you even see them do things like shaking and throwing up blood all over the walls. And I just want to say that the acting from Nastia Bronkhorst and Thomas Hustin is honestly some of the best acting that I have ever seen in a film like this, as you can really feel their pain throughout the film. And not just that, but you really feel bad for these two characters in a way, especially when you realize that these are two kids who have destroyed their whole lives with drug addiction. That is scary. Teenagers did this. And the fact that this actually happened makes this film hit so much harder than it already is. And I am not going to let it right now. This is a pretty realistic depiction of what drugs actually does to people. And it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why Christine F. will be remembered as being one of the most important movies that will stay with you long after it's over. And I am not going to let it right now. When I first watched this film, it destroyed me because it was so disturbing but so real all at the same time, as it perfectly captures what it was like in Berlin at that time, and how drugs can be so destructive. Like, really, drug addiction destroys lives. And the fact that you see people doing it all over the world and don't realize it. They need to start to realize that they are killing themselves. Actually, no, they are torturing themselves. Just look at the characters in this film. They had such a good life before they did drugs. And when they did drugs, guess what? They had their whole lives completely fucked up. Don't do drugs. Just don't. And not just that, but if you want a film with good directing, good writing, good cinematography, good acting, and good writing, go watch this fucking film. As you are not gonna get a film like this ever again. So go watch it while you still can, because it will stick with you long after you have first seen it. As this is a raw and realistic look at what drugs actually does to people in this world that we live in. And honestly, without Nastia Brunkhorst's performance and this film's themes, this movie would have not have hit as strongly as it did right now. And if you really think about it for a bit, this should be shown to every single addict in the world. And I really feel bad for them in a way. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes. So 80% from the critics and 85% from the audience. And I am going to read out the reviews right now. So for the first review, unflinching portrait of a teenage addict and sex worker. For the second one, a great anti-heroin movie with an exceptional soundtrack. For the third one, Christiane F. is a fierce testimony whose authenticity cannot be denied, and I actually agree with that. And the fact that Christian Fitzgerald actually did drugs and did prostitution at a young age is terrifying. For the fourth one, this is one of the most horrifying movies that I have ever seen. The fact that it is based on actual events makes it more heartbreaking. For the fifth one, Christiane F. is an unrelentingly grim German film that vividly conveys the physical and mental debilitation of drug addiction. And that is something that I most definitely agree with. And as I read these reviews, it makes me realize that this film is most definitely worth all the praise that it is getting from critics and audiences, as it does such an amazing job at showing drug addiction for what it really is, a hell that you can never escape from. And honestly, for a German film, this is a very realistic portrayal of drug addiction. Like seriously, Hollywood will never show this. And this is proof that foreign films are doing way better than the slop that gets made nowadays. They have better stories, they have better writing, they have better acting, they have better directing, way more than the stuff that gets made today. Just look at this film. It shows drug addiction for what it really is, and will you ever get that from a film nowadays? No, you're not! Because nowadays, Hollywood is more focused on creating content that is easy, accessible, doesn't try to make you think, doesn't try to make you think about anything. Just be excited for next product. Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product. That's what Hollywood thinks about you. They think that you're just gonna sit there and consume their shit. You know what? Don't do that. Avoid their shit. And go watch this masterpiece of a movie. And while it may look disturbing at times, it is definitely a whole lot better than the woke dog shit that we get from modern Hollywood, especially nowadays. I thought David Bowie's soundtrack was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. And it really makes this film so much better than it already is. And I am going to show you an example of it right now. And I am just going to let you know that the fact that David Bowie actually put himself in this is actually because this is actually based on Christine F's life and how she was involved with David Bowie when she did heroin. And it's crazy how the people of this country was obsessed with David Bowie because when they did heroin, they felt meaningless. But with David Bowie and music, they felt like they actually had purpose in something. Like seriously, the writing in this film is just so good. As it feels so real. And you can definitely tell that this was written by someone who actually gave a shit about the story that needed to be told. Because this is a film that needed to be made. And it is still relevant to today. Because we are seeing people do drugs every single day in their lives. And it's just depressing but disturbing all at the same time. Like really, for a biographical drama, this is up there as being one of the best films that I have ever seen in my life. As it was just that good. Nastia Bronkhorst and Thomas Hustin, they fucking carried this movie with their performances. Drugs are no joke. Just watch this film and you'll find out. And the fact that the filmmakers actually picked actual drug addicts to star in this film is just something else. That's what I heard from the production. Just to let you know, the actress was 14 years old! And she gave an amazing performance as Christiane Frisco. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Okay? I don't. But it's sad what happened to her. And I even heard that she's clean now. She had a difficult life. And this movie does a pretty good job at portraying that. You feel bad for these characters. You don't know what's gonna happen to them. You just wonder, how are they gonna get out of this? That's what this film does to you. It makes you feel something that you've never felt before. It makes you realize that drug addiction is a fucking hell. And if you want to be trapped by that hell, you are destroying yourself. And these kids, they abused drugs. And this film even shows them like throwing up, shaking, using many drugs like heroin, opium, Valium, meth, every single drug. Drug addiction is depressing. If you think that's cool, fuck you. 'Cause it's not cool. It is sad. And this movie does a pretty damn good job at showing how sad it really is. Damn. Out of all of the films that I have seen in my life, no film has affected me more than this film, because this will stick with me for a long fucking time. As it was just so well acted, so well directed, so well shot, so well written. It makes me realize that Hollywood doesn't stand a chance against foreign cinema. And if you want another foreign film that I think that you should go check out, it's Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, as that film is just an absolute masterpiece of filmmaking. It's an action film, and yet it feels so emotional. And I'm just gonna let you know that that is a film that I'm gonna be reviewing very, very soon. So go get ready for that. I am going to explain the ending of this film. So, after having a conversation with Dietlef, we see a shot of Christine taking a walk around the streets of Berlin. But When she comes across and decides to read the newspaper, she immediately starts to realize that Bubsy has died from a heroin overdose at 14 years old. And then the film ends with her trying to do everything that she can in order to overdose on drugs, but fails in the process. And you can really see that from where it's implied that she has survived the overdose. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect but depressing ending to a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about: the dark side of drug addiction. And not just that, but it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is most definitely worth your fucking time. I am going to show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one. This film was just so fucking hard to watch, man.
Christiane F., the image of a generation. Discos at 11, alcohol at 12, heroin at 13, and at 14, a schoolgirl by day, a prostitute at night. Christiane F., the true story of a girl who went to hell and back.
That is so fucking sad. That is what happened to her, by the way. And just to let you know, this actually happened. If it feels like I'm repeating things, please don't fucking worry about it. I feel so bad for Bubsy though. She was just 14 years old. And she died from drug addiction. This film is so fucking real. And raw. In conclusion, this movie was just an absolute masterpiece of filmmaking, as it does such an amazing job at portraying drug addiction, but in a way that feels deeply disturbing and realistic. And it makes me realize that every film that is coming out nowadays is either a sequel, prequel, or remake of something that has already came out before. And this is where you start to realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore. And it really goes to show you that There is just no saving Hollywood anymore. And if there is anything else that I want to say about this film, is go fucking watch it. As it's just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to the acting, the directing, writing, and cinematography. And not just that, but you could really tell that this was made by a filmmaker who actually gave a shit about the film that he wanted to make. And he did it perfectly. And I am just going to let you know that the next films that I'm going to be reviewing is Trainspotting, Blade Runner 2049, Whiplash, and Naked. So go get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now, and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And keep supporting films like this, because we need them now more than ever before. Because this film right here, this was a great film that made me think about how bad drug addiction really is. And I feel bad for the people who do stuff like this because it kills lives. Don't do drugs. Because it's just gonna cause you to fall apart. Just look at this film right here and tell me what you think. Because this perfectly captures what it was like in Berlin and how bad drug addiction was like at that time. And it does not hold back at showing how destructive that it can be. Go watch this film because it is worth it. And even though that we are living in a time of where films feel empty and soulless, it's nice seeing that films like this are getting made because it shows that they are bad films and there are good films. This is one of the best movies that has ever been made. And it will haunt you for a long time. Just look at what it did to me when I first watched it. Because this is harrowing, it's disturbing, it's visceral, it's realistic, and most of all, it's a perfect film. Go fucking watch it! Because for a German film, it is actually really good. And also, yeah, that's all I got. See you in the next review.